to Mark Sweetman.
Thank you. Satori Shakur. Satori called me this morning after rehearsal last night, and she was very shy. And she says, "I'm feeling like you're not with the story, and is there anything wrong? You can tell me right now." And I said, "I'm concerned that I'm talking about my mother, or my father, and my stepmother in a way that I've never spoken, not only not in public, but not to anyone at all. And it's not complimentary, and I'm just concerned about that." She goes, "Well, just say that up front." So there you have it. These are two people I love very much. Thomas Sweetman and Marcia Sweetman, I love them very much, my father and my stepmother. But my father is a workaholic and an alcoholic, which in my family is an improvement upon his father, who was just an alcoholic. 12-hour days, 4 young sons, and we got him in the mornings. That was our time. That's when we got him. The rest of the time, he was working all the time, and if it didn't have anything to do with work, he didn't have anything to do with it. And this is how we were raised. And we learned some things from him, though, just in those mornings we had with him. He was a great negotiator. He could never volunteer to coach our baseball or football teams, but he got our entire Little League team furnished one year, just because he knew that there were catchers and there were batters and there were shortstops in our neighborhood that got sick of it, and they were willing to give up their equipment for a very low price. He equipped our whole team. When I was 8, my entire team got equipped for $60. Now this is 1968, $60, so. But still, he equipped the whole team, and you know, it wasn't great equipment. It was like Tunisian matzah. But it worked for what we needed it for, right? It was with love. That's how my dad loved us. At 8, he gathered us all into his bedroom. Now this was rare. It was rare for us to go into my parents' bedroom. It was forbidden. In fact, I think they might have even had a lock on the door. And we went in there if we were sick, if they had something important to tell us that nobody else needed to hear about. But this time he gathered all 4 of us. 4 young sons in the room. He locked the door. And he told us that even though he was still going to be our father, he was not going to be living with us anymore. He was moving out. A lot of tears that day. A lot of tears that day. We would find out that it was for another woman, Marcia, actually a girl. She was 19. And, well, my dad was only 30, so it wasn't that big. And I was 8, so she was like right in the middle of us, which made for some huge problems when I got to be, puberty. She still liked to sunbathe, so. You know where I'm coming from. It's my dad's wife. So, 2 years after my dad left, my parents' divorce was final. Didn't mean much to me at that time when I was 10. It means more now as an adult that I know what that means. A year after that, my mom had a nervous breakdown. We lived with my mom during the week and spent the weekends at my dad's. And that was great, because my dad was a great father as far as a 10 and 11 and 12-year-old kid goes. I mean, ice cream, popcorn, stayed up to watch Mannix, things my mom wouldn't let us do. We got to do it at my dad's house, and he had a wife that was closer to our age, so she liked to do those things too, so it was kind of fun. If you're going to have a stepmom, have one that likes Saturday morning cartoons, is what I say. My mom didn't see it that way. She didn't see it that way at all. She never used the word bitch, but we could always tell whenever she talked about her, it was always through the teeth and spaces between the syllables, and you could always hear her with the veins popping out of the neck. She never said bitch, but we knew meant the same thing. Sometimes just get so angry that the air would just come out. And then passed the voice box completely and went through the cheek. So she has this, it wasn't your storybook, classical, movie-type nervous breakdown. She's on the phone with a friend. She's talking calmly. She hangs up the phone. She turns to us. She says, "I'm leaving." And she goes into her bedroom and packs 3 suitcases, puts them in the trunk of the car, and drives off. Well, she had left before, but she would come back. About 3 hours later, we realized she left. So we call my grandma. She comes over now. She assesses the situation and calls my dad at work. And so since he can't do anything for another 6 hours because he's a workaholic, he says, "Take him to the house, tell Marcia they're going to stay with us." Well, it was great having us over for the weekends for Saturday morning cartoons, but when she saw about 3 dozen bags, she goes, "You're not putting that shit in here." She was not ready to be a mom. And we could tell because the rules were just crazy. I mean, just crazy. We broke a rule. I think we broke the biggest rule we broke was making fun of her cooking. I think that was, we weren't, and it was never really quite defined for us. Pretty much if we didn't like it, we went, "Bleh." But we broke that rule, so she's going to take away baseball. It's baseball sign-up day, and you're not going to baseball. That's it. We're telling Dad. Well, you tell your dad. I think I've got the argument this time. So my dad gets home, like 9 o'clock at night. "Dad, she won't take us for baseball." He hears our whole argument, what happened. She starts to give her argument, and he stops. He goes, "Wait, you're not taking away baseball." And that was it, man. That changed everything. The whole relationship changed right there. Suddenly it was baseball and his boys, and not tits and ass. You know what I mean? Suddenly, whatever she had that got him to leave my mom didn't matter now. He called up over there, great negotiator as he was, got him to stay open another 15 minutes. He raced over there, got us signed up for baseball. Not only signed us up, but he signed up for the first time ever to coach our team, and he did it for about 3 or 4 years. And just changed our relationship completely. 10 years after this, I meet the woman of my dreams, the woman who's to be my bride, and she had never met by this time my dad had gotten into AA. They had their own children, so now we were the other family. So Marcia didn't have much to do with us. They moved to California, so my wife had not met either of them, so I take my soon-to-be bride out to visit them, and that's when they informed us that they couldn't come to the wedding because it was during the busiest weekend of the year. I still love my dad. My wife couldn't understand it, but that's the relationship I had with my dad. He's a workaholic, and now a recovering alcoholic. So, we started having our children, and we had 3 boys, and this is kind of interesting. We have 8 now, by the way, and yeah, 5 of them were after I had a vasectomy, so figure that one out there somewhere. I think I get bragging rights over the rabbi on that one. Now, what happened was when we had 2, we had a small 3-bedroom home, and we each had our own room, and the 3rd one comes along, and my wife says, "We don't have enough room." So she convinces me to get clipped. Yeah, that's fine. That's all we wanted anyway. 3 is one more than we wanted to begin with, so we'd always talked about 2. This was kind of, it's a surprise, it's nice. But let's get the job done. So again, I get clipped. A year later now, the baby, Raphael, is still in the crib, still in our bedroom. My wife goes, "We need a bigger house." So we go out and find this huge house, huge, twice as big as the one we had. In fact, when we moved everything into this house from the old house, we had 3 rooms that weren't even furnished. And my wife says, "Hey, we got room for kids now." I go, "Hey, too late." Had that taken care of. She says, "Well, we can foster." And I thought, oh man, great. Foster care. And I thought of all the things that I've heard going wrong with foster care. And I thought, all right, well, I'll call her bluff. I'll make it impossible. I go, "Yeah, but we need to go where there's the most need." So here we are at an agency on Hamilton during the interview when I realized she's serious about this. Will you take kids addicted to crack? Yes. Will you take kids with physical deformities? Well, we have a son with a hearing impairment. I think we can handle that. She says, will you take one with a mental incapacity? She says, well, we have an autistic son. I think we're prepared for that too. So now they're going, you have an autistic son and a hearing impaired son, and you're willing to foster kids that are in greatest need? And my wife goes, yes. And they turn and look at me, and I go, yeah, whatever. So we go through the training, and it's February 2001, and it's a cold evening, and we get a call from the agency, and they have a placement for us. And what they found was a family, and there were a lot. There were 10 kids in this family. They were asking us to take 2 boys, the 2 youngest boys. One was 7 days old, was born with narcotics in his system, and the other was his 5-year-old brother. And that's the day that Brandon Buck and Ryan Buck came into our lives.
So, I am Brandon Buck, but I'm Ben Sweetman now. 13 years ago, when I was 5, I remember sitting around in our family room with all my siblings, watching TV. And then we hear this loud knocking noise at the door. We all freak out and we're like, who is that? And so my oldest sister got up and she answered the door. And when she opened it, she saw that it was the police. You know, we freaked out even more because, you know, we were like, oh, what are they doing here? And they told us to get our stuff and to go with them. So we did. We didn't argue. They put us in the police car. And I remember on the way to the foster care agency, sitting next to my older brother Anthony and looking out the window, kind of thinking like, you know, what did I do wrong to deserve this? Why am I being taken away from my family? I didn't know what was going on. I was only 5. When we got there, we sat around in the building for about an hour, and then they put me and my younger brother William into a police car and they took us to the Sweetmans. And the first thing I noticed when I got to the Sweetmans was that they were all white. And this was weird for me because I had never seen a white person before.
Wait. I swear this could only happen in Detroit. I mean, that's how divided we are racially, because he gets to the house and it's Raphael's bath time. You're 5, Raphael's 3.5. They're only like 18 months apart. So they're pretty close to the same size, and they're small. So I said, do you want to take a bath with Raphael? And Raphael's all for it. He says, yeah. So we get them all naked, we get them in the tub, and we go in there to check on them, and they're just standing there looking at each other. And my 3-year-old looks at me and he goes, he's all black. At 3.
All right. So I should probably note that me and my dad's relationship was nothing like it was right now. We didn't see eye to eye on anything. In fact, I was closer to my mom than I was to him. But in this first house, I met my first friend, Raphael. And that was cool because we were 1.5 years apart in age, so that meant we could do a lot more, you know, that we liked. And apparently I liked him so much that I took a baseball bat to his head. And I loved my little brother, William, so much that I tried to drown him. And so with all that being said, I was too aggressive to be an older brother. So I was replaced in a home where I was the youngest. And in this home, I was sexually abused for about 1.5 years. And when the foster care agency found out, they replaced me back to the Sweetmans. And when I got back with the Sweetmans, they had already adopted William and my younger sister Colleen, and they were fostering my younger sister Jillian. And they would adopt her soon after. But it took another 2 years to adopt me. I remember on my adoption day, it was like someone flipped the switch. Like, there was just a different kid. This kid, he didn't talk back to his parents. He didn't get in trouble. He did his homework and got good grades. And that kid lasted for about 2 years until I got to middle school. And that's when all of that sexual abuse, it hit me really hard. And depression was really bad, and I started cutting, and I tried to kill myself. But that was only the beginning of my bad choices. My sophomore year in high school, I was arrested in front of my peers for possession of marijuana. And you think I would learn my lesson, but I didn't. 2 months later, I was arrested for shoplifting.
Alleged shoplifting. Let's be clear here, we got white privilege and he has it by proxy, so... we lawyered up. No bow tie, he wasn't a tax attorney. It was
So, in court, I was represented very well, and the charges were dropped without prejudice, as long as I went to this military academy. The problem was I couldn't get in for another year and a half. So my parents pulled me out of school and they homeschooled me. But they didn't really homeschool me. It was the type of homeschooling where I would put a DVD into the DVD player and watch a class of students be taught by another teacher. And this wasn't so well, or it didn't go so well, because I was ADHD, or I am ADHD. And you know, I figured, you know, I could just screw around all the time because she can't do anything. She's behind a TV screen, you know, just over here, you know, whatever. And so junior year, I get a phone call from my biological sister, and she says, hey, Daddy's in the hospital, he's in a coma. And that was hard for me because I'd always wanted to have a relationship with him.
all of our children, adopted children, have the same parents, and we had always intended for them to reunite with their birth parents. One, I'm not a black man, and I mean, and we've kept in touch with it. We had kept in touch with their family. He did not know that, but we had always known about the condition of their parents, and we left it to the adult children, his siblings, to let us know when they were able to see their children again and were in decent enough shape. Dad kind of sped it up for us a little bit because he went into a diabetic coma, and that's when we visited him in the hospital. You have more to say about that?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we visited him in the hospital a couple times. I remember, I think it was the second time, I had drawn him a picture, and I put it on his wall, and I walked back to the bed, stood over him, and kind of said, you know, "Hi, I'm Brandon Buck. I'm one of your sons. You know, please wake up. I'd like to have a relationship with you." We're just waiting for a miracle, but it never happened. He died a year later, in January of this year, and we went to his funeral. And at the funeral, we reconnected with all of my biological siblings and cousins, and I'm very thankful for that, because ever since then we've stayed in touch, and we've made sure to make it a point that we know what's going on in each other's lives. And it's sad, but it's amazing, because my biological dad's death, it's brought the Sweetmans and the Bucks a lot closer than anything else could have done. So I just want to thank my dad for always encouraging me to keep the ties with my biological family. Because if it wasn't for that, I would have never gotten that phone call from my sister about my dad being in the hospital. We would have never connected at the funeral, and I probably wouldn't know what the heck is going on in their lives. So I just want to thank my dad.
We're not giving them back.
Mark Sweetman and Ben Sweetman, Brandon Buck.